Happy Fragrant Friday, Fraghead. Hey everybody, this is Ben here at That Cologne Guy, coming at you with a new... Christchurch, New Zealand, got it, review. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Welcome to my review. If this is your first time checking me out, welcome to my channel. Always remember to like, comment, and subscribe. That really helps the channel out a lot. And make sure that you forward this content on to your fellow frag heads. As always, if you don't really have much to say about this particular fragrance, you're just watching the episode, always let me know, number one, your scent of the day. I always love to know your scent of the day. And then number two, this is a special episode actually because subscriber Brian sent this one in, and it is his birthday today. So with his blessing, I'm allowed to tell everyone, and so make sure, if nothing else, make sure that in the comments below you wish Brian a happy birthday. So you've seen the title and the description. You know this is none other than Aigner, and I'll be talking about that in a minute. This is Aigner number 1 Oud, and so you guys know I like to start off my reviews with the nomenclature in the house, and there's a lot to say here when it comes to this one. So I looked this up this week. I really had so much fun in the last 2 weeks actually wearing this one because last week, of course, I did the more of the screen shooting with Fragrantica, and so I didn't do a review. So when it comes to this one is by Istvan. So it's Istvan with an accent on the A, so like Istvan Aigner. So Aigner is a German last name, but he is Hungarian. So Istvan is like Steven, or if you speak Spanish, Esteban. So and so he is Hungarian. This is going to be, in fact, this is a total coincidence, but right before I hit record, I was thinking about this. It's, all right, it's kind of interesting that there's a map. I'm in a different room in the house, of course, this week. And so it's interesting that that's there because we are going literally all over the map. So he is Hungarian born. This is Istvan Aigner. He went to France, all right? So then he changed his name, or I don't know if it was legally changed it, but started to go by the French word for Stephen, which is Etienne. So as you can see, it's here somewhere. And the house is actually, the full house is actually Aigner. So it's Etienne. That's Stephen in French, and something along the lines of Etienne. So the house is Etienne Aigner. So if with the German last name, if he moves to France and he changes, and he's Hungarian, and he changes his first name to Etienne, which is of course Stephen in French, then his last name, I'm assuming, would also the pronunciation would have been something along the lines of Aigner, Aigner, something along those lines in French. Aigner, I'm assuming. So it'd be Etienne Aigner in French, or in German it'd be, Hungarian is his first name, Istvan, and Aigner is his German last name. So talk about interesting, right? He's Hungarian, German last name, goes by French first name, then moves to New York. So the plot thickens. So he went to France and became quite famous for his bookbinding. And after that, he started to work with leather. Apparently, he was extremely gifted, and people sought out his specific method and way of doing things. So he started off bookbinding, and then he started to dabble in leather goods, and then he went to New York. And he's actually known here more for a famous I saw mostly purses. It says small leather goods, but most of them were purses. And the buckles on them always have the horseshoe. So So here, everything I saw was purses, excuse me, and it used. Apparently, he used a certain type of leather when he got to the States because he didn't have a lot of money, and it really took off. And it's called antique red. You'll have to excuse me again. I'm quite limited in my knowledge of colors, but he used an antique red leather. Out of necessity, so I don't know if it was cheaper, but anyway, because he was so good at what he did, that color really took off and became unique, and it's a unique stamp for this house. All right, so that is the house. A lot going on there. And then number 1 was released in 1975. So once he got to New York, started making purses, other small leather goods. His company took off. And then in the 70s, he started putting out fragrances. And that was the first one, 1975, which is called, you guessed it, number 18. No, I'm kidding. Number 1. And so this is number 1 oud. So it's kind of, I don't know if it's it is a flanker. They said it's part of the number 1 collection. But we'll call this a flanker. Now, this is a 2014 release. And this one is a woody spicy, and it is an EDP. It is an eau de parfum, and I'll have a little bit more to say about that. So as far as the name, obviously oud, referring to the wood. One thing I did not know until recently was almost all oud fragrances, or fragrances that have oud in them, the oud is synthetic. I actually did not know that, and so I've talked before about Cambodia and many of the countries that have oud and produce oud, but it's my limited understanding again that the oud listed in fragrances such as this one, it is synthetic, which is probably better for the environment anyway. But I wanted to point that out. So this is number 1 oud, 2014, amber spicy. Eau de parfum unisex, so it is listed as for women and men. Okay, so let's take a look at the presentation, shall we? Much like Hermes, right? When you think of Hermes, you think of leather goods, and then you think of a connection to horses, anything to do with equestrian, right? So a lot of Hermes imagery has to do with horses, and this one is no different. So you can see here they're going to have the A for Aigner, or Aigner, is going to be as a horseshoe, and that is a quite common, and I think I mentioned earlier with the purses, I noticed you always see that as the buckle on the purse. So the horseshoe will abound, and that is in the form of an A for his last name. That's a cool touch. And I think you would agree with me that, in fact, even in relatively poor lighting, and I apologize for that, even in relatively poor lighting, you can see how the box itself has a shimmer to it, and I really like that one to the point that I think it's going to be hard for me to recycle the box. You can even comment down below if you still have nothing to say. But you really should, though, because you need to say happy birthday to Brian. You need to make sure that you also consider letting me know, do you throw away your boxes? Okay, forget bottles. I know you keep those, but do you recycle the box, or do you just keep everything? Let's take a look at this bottle. I really appreciate the bottle. Now, when I first took this out, I assumed this was antique red. Again, I am quite the caveman when it comes to color distinctions, but it is listed as dark brown. It is not listed as antique red, so this is not an homage to his signature antique red color for leather. This is indeed considered a dark brown. In certain lights, it looks red to me. I don't know if you can see that, but to me, in certain angles, it looks more red than brown. But I checked, and it's I have to wave the white flag and fully admit that it is officially dark brown. Now, when it comes to the cap, you can see it's really nice. One thing I really like, again, here's kind of the running theme. There's another horseshoe, just to really put home that stamp, right? I really like the cap, and I'll tell you why. It's not only is it nice looking, but it has a leather strip here. So when you grab it, you actually don't you don't really touch the cap itself, and you don't put your fingerprints on it. You actually just grab the leather, and it opens right up. Nice touch, nice touch. Geeky, nerdy, perhaps, but a nice touch. Okay, so good news keeps on a-coming, because when it comes to the information at the bottom, they're also hitting a home run here. Very, very clear information, and you can see the batch code is just white as white can be, and that is quite clear. I'm going to read that to you, though, just in case. It is 0329, and the reason why I'm saying that is because, unfortunately, I could not find... I went to 4 batch code checkers online, and only one even listed this house and said, soon coming. And so I was not able to check when this is. It's a 2014 release, but I can tell you the batch number, but I actually don't know the specific batch code on this one yet. So sorry about that. So I think you would agree, though, that this is another bottle that is going to look really, really nice to display to guests, people coming over, and they're going to think, "Wow, this person's really in this hobby." It's unique looking. I love the bottle, and I love the bottle because it adds to this notion of, how many people in your town are going to be wearing Aigner fragrances. Okay, the chances are slim. On top of it, it's already a unique house with unique names and countries. In fact, one thing I needed to say earlier was, okay, so after he passed away in 2000, the company is now housed in Germany. So the company is in Germany. This just fascinates me, actually. All right, so it's listed here, Munich, but it's made in France. You see? So it's a company in Germany, and it's made in France. So that's just it just keeps on going, doesn't it, when it comes to nomenclature? So that is the design. But I really like the fact that it is unique. And I think the bottle really puts that stamp. From minute one, you get that feel like, okay, this is going to be a fragrance that I'm going to wear that is indeed quite unique. So if you're looking, there are 3 things I was thinking about for me this week that I wanted to tell you. There are 3 things, if you are looking, why you would like this. Well, 4. Number 1 is just outright, just the scent itself, right? Just the scent itself. I'll get to the notes in a second. Number 2 is if you're looking to ease into oud as a note, because it can be off-putting. If you see my top 10 notes, of course, I love oud. I love it. Dirty and clean oud. And apparently it's all synthetic anyway. I really like, so this is a perfect oud to ease into because it is not a dirty oud. It's quite clean. And I like the fact that it's not extremely prominent. It's present, you will pick it up, but it is not a prominent oud. It can clear out a room. This is not one of those. This is very, very, very subtle. The third point is that it has rose, and this is also a great fragrance for guys especially. When guys hear the word rose in a note, they go, yeah, I'm cashing in my chips. I'm out of here. Don't do that, actually, because rose is a great note. Do not associate that, if you do, with femininity or perfumes. Not at all. I love rose-based fragrances. They work wonderful on my skin, and so this one would be another great one for the guys out there who are going, I'm a little lukewarm on rose here. This has another prominent yet subtle rose note, and I really, really like that about this fragrance. Now, on the 4th point, I would say this is a subtle application. So I have to tell you that this is a great fragrance for someone who's looking for something that is not too strong at any given point. In fact, I'll talk a little bit more in duration, but I have to say that in longevity and projection, I felt like this one was going to be, after 2 to 4 hours, it's completely gone. But I did get a compliment from a buddy, and it was about the 6 hour mark. And that was just right when I walked in to his house, and if he could pick it up then, that tells me that when I'm not smelling it at all after the 2.5, 3, 4 hour mark, other people still are, which is important. So if you're looking for a nice subtle scent that doesn't clear out a room, then you should consider something like this, because it is not a strong fragrance at any given point in the duration of the fragrance. All right, so let's take a look now at the notes. So you can check out Fragrantica, but the main ones for me are cinnamon, nutmeg, oud, and rose, and saffron. And you're thinking, wait a minute, I watch your channel every week. Liar. No, I'm kidding. I watch your channel every week, almost every week, and I saw your top 10 episode on notes, and you're thinking cinnamon, nutmeg, and oud right off the bat. Bing, ding, 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 and you would be correct. So when Brian first sent me the notice that I was going to receive this in a package, the first thing that stood out to me was this is going to be a 5 out of 5. I really feel like, just based on the notes, I'm going to absolutely love this fragrance. Okay, so those are the notes that stand out here: nutmeg, cinnamon, oud, rose, saffron, and then it really, though, I shouldn't say really, I just mean it is one of those rose oud combination fragrances. So if you don't know, a lot, it doesn't necessarily have to be, but they noted it on their website. A lot of Middle Eastern fragrance companies, or just the culture itself, they really like the combination from men's cologne or fragrances. They really like the combination of rose and oud. It's quite popular indeed. And so remember how I've talked about Jaipur, and I've talked about some fragrances don't really live up to what they're really trying to set, what they set out to do. This one absolutely does. So when you think of cloves, cinnamon, nutmeg, oud, rose, saffron, I definitely think of Middle East, and it delivers. It smells. In fact, one guy in Fragrantica in his review said, I can't speak to this, but I wanted you to know this. He said it smells exactly like Iranian sweets, and so I do wholeheartedly accept that this is their attempt at creating a classic Middle Eastern fragrance. Absolutely, and. It's addicting, actually. It's kind of like you guys can. Another comment you could leave is letting me know what fragrances that you bought and you were just addicted to. You're just smelling them all day. This is another one that is very, very, very pleasant, and I like the fact that they throw in the nutmeg, the cloves, some leather. This is a no-lose proposition. So those are the notes. Now, when it comes to longevity and projection and sillage. Remember, I mentioned earlier about my friend. So I went over to his house. I had to drop off something. I wasn't going to stay very long, and I walked in. And like I said, this was about the 6 hour mark of the fragrance. I couldn't pick it up anymore, and I walked in the house. And so so he was in the kitchen. I walked in the living room. He was maybe 8, 9, 10 feet from me. And when I walked in, he was like, "Oh man, what's that you're wearing?" He knows I got the channel, and I said, "Oh, this is a new one for me, and it's called Aigner #1 Oud." And he was like, "Okay, you need to send me the link for that. I'm going to get me a bottle that smells great." And I had no idea that anyone could still pick it up at that point. So my original thinking, after the first couple days, was I was going to say more like 2 to 4 to 5 hours maybe, and I was actually going to dock it a spray because, or two actually, because I was disappointed with the longevity. So be careful with this one and a lot of fragrances, because maybe it is olfactory fatigue, but I could not pick it up. Even right after I put it on, it's a very, very subtle scent. That is not a deficiency. I'm not taking off points. I'm just saying it's it's not beast mode. No one's going to accuse this of clearing out a room. That's for sure. And if they do, it's probably like the first 5 minutes maybe, and it's because it really really settles down close. So a lot of people are going to like this fragrance because when they hear oud, they think, ooh, that's really going to be too strong. And if you have family members and people in your house that don't like fragrance or don't want to smell strong scents, this certainly would be a great option for you. So I'm going to say longevity in the end is, I'm going to actually give it, I can't decide if I want a 4 to 6 or 6 to 8. I'm going to say 4 to 6. I would have said 2 to 4 though a few days ago, but I'm gonna go 4 to 6, closer to 6. And again, if you feel like, wait a minute, this thing is completely gone from my skin after a few minutes, give it some time. You have to understand, we are in a snowstorm today. Everything is shut down in this town, and so I haven't been going out a lot recently. I've been working from home recently, and so in the few times that I've gone out, think about this: I actually got two unsolicited compliments on this fragrance. That is outstanding, considering the fact that I've hardly left my house at all. So kudos to this fragrance in that sense. I really appreciate that about it. Longevity, not as good as I would have liked. It is an EDP. They really should be 8 to 10. It's unfortunate that it's not, but it's better than you think it is. All right, how's that? So 4 to 6 will go closer to 6. So and this would be a great one to spray on your clothes. So then Sillage would be another one that I think, again, if you're coming in the rooms, I walked into his house and I was relatively far away, and he said, "Oh wow, what's that?" And so I have to tip my cap to them. Much better than I would have imagined. So if you are going to parties, you're coming in and out of rooms, you're walking past people, you will get noticed, and it will be a very, very nice one. I have to say, this is probably more meant to be for the nighttime. I would absolutely see this as a daytime fragrance. I would wear this to the office, and I like that. I like the subtlety involved. I don't have too many oud fragrances that are subtle, right? Usually they're beast mode, clear out a room. This is not that, so that's great. And then let's see, longevity, sillage, and projection. So projection is going to be a full arm's length away, really for about 15 to 30 minutes. And then after about every 15-minute mark from there, it's going to get closer and closer and closer to your skin. Okay, so let me talk about the fact that it's marketed to women and men. It's unisex. I feel I would put this, I personally would put this, if we're going to do our lucky scent here, not sponsored. All 32 of you, asked me about this last time. I'm not sponsored. All right, so the Lucky Scent continuum, we would have feminine, unisex, masculine, like way, way, way masculine over here, disco, open shirts, gold chains, BGs, right, full-blown 70s, 80s here. I'm going to go right here. I feel like it is in the unisex category. But I feel like it leans slightly masculine. A woman could pull this off. And so I think something like this would be, especially just the design, everything behind it, and the subtlety. We talked a lot about before, a lot of women like to smell fragrances on guys or even their own fragrances, but they don't like to be bowled over. It's very off-putting for a lot of women to smell this kind of in-your-face fragrance. This would be great. So I'm going to say, what do you think? Let's go 60-40. I'm going to say 60% guys, 40% women. As far as people actually purchasing it, buying it, they weren't given it. It wasn't given it to them. They actually want this as their signature scent. Let's go 60% guys, and then and 40% the ladies on that one. And you guys can let me know if you have this in your collection. And that'd be great to know. Could a woman pull it off? Yes. I like it more on me, quite honestly. I really appreciate this fragrance. It's nuanced, and I love the collection of notes. What can I say? So when it comes to the age, really this is one to me where it's more about the oud than notes. So if you're into cloves and cinnamon and oud, and you like the Middle Eastern touch with rose, which I love, then you will like it. So it's really, I'm going to say 18 and up on age. There's no real age factor here. I guess maybe you can make an argument 30 and up, but with sprinkled in with the rose, and I'm not really buying that. I think 18 and up would be the age, and I think really it comes down to, do you like the combination of oud and rose with cloves, coriander? I mean, it's very Middle Eastern. It's successful in that, and so I think that's the main thing for you. Same thing applies for day and night for occasion. This for season. This is definitely a fall winter, no doubt. That said, I do think this would be something that could be worn 365 days a year. It might be a tad cloying in the heat. I mean, especially because it doesn't last a long time anyway. It might not be super, wouldn't last a long time if it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So that said, though, I do like this all year round. You should know that most people will say fall, winter. It will do better in the cooler climates, no doubt about that. All right, so when it comes to event, I have to tell you, for me, this would be office. This would be romantic night out, in family event. I mean, just anything. This would be a great fragrance for somebody who's just like, hey, listen, I just want to smell good, unique, and get the compliments and lots of them. So that would be the event for me, really. And so when it comes to the rating, this one, like I told you, when I first found out, I was thinking this could be a 5 here. Then when I first got it, I was thinking more along the lines of a 3 out of 5 because I really wasn't picking it up. But then you get compliments, unsolicited compliments. The box is nice, and then the bottle I really appreciate. I like the touch here, and so it's almost like if you can't, it's almost like the poor man's Hermes, really this company. No, but it is an ode to making leather and equestrian. There's a lot of nods to Hermes here. That said, I really do appreciate this one. It doesn't break the bank. It looks like about $30 to $50 for a 100 milliliter 3.4 ounce. And so I really like that. I was thinking 3, but I'm going to split the difference here clearly because the fragrance itself, the scent itself is just fantastic. And I like the unique factor of it. We're going to go 4 out of 5. I'm going to dock a point simply because for an EDP, it needs to step up. It needs to last a work shift. It doesn't do that. I like the fact that it is subtle. That said, though, for an EDP, you need to be rocking, 8 to 10 hours. Come on. You would have to reapply if you wanted to wear this, all day and then go out to an event all night. You'd have to reapply, which is fine. So we're going to go 4 out of 5 for Aigner. Number 1, oud. We talked about Hungary. We've talked about Germany, France, the United States. Remember the guy got it from Christchurch, New Zealand. He guessed what I was going to say. We've got a map here. I mean, there was a lot going on internationally. Last but not least, of course, don't forget again to comment down below and wish subscriber Brian a happy birthday. Thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate that one. This very kind of you to do that. Very touched. And stick around for the bonus features. And if you'd like to know and hear a little bit more update about subscriber Brian. All right, so let's go 4 out of 5. I'm going to go 1 on each side of the neck, 1 on each wrist for this 2014 Keeper. Boom. Boom, boom, and boom. Yeah, see, I mean, it's got cloves and it's got coriander, but when you hear cloves, you're thinking of something like Costume National. It's just not. Somebody said it's really close to Jaipur. I don't agree. I really like the combination of rose and oud mixed in with the cinnamon. It's an enticing scent. It's definitely an enticing scent. I really like this one. Definitely going to remain in my collection. That is for sure. In fact, I was thinking earlier, because remember last week I did the screen showing of Fragrantica. I didn't do an actual review. So this is actually 2 weeks worth, and you can see here in just 2 weeks, actually, I've put a pretty good dent in the juice. Hope you're doing well. Stick around for the bonus feature, and always remember, fragrance marks the celebration of today. Take care, everybody. All right, so welcome to the bonus feature. As I mentioned before, this was sent in from subscriber Brian, and today it is his birthday. You know, if you follow me every week, you know that he sent me a few bottles now. When he first started sending me fragrances, you guys know I'm all about keeping it real. All 13 of you that have made it this far know that I'm always about keeping it real. So here's the thing, right? He started sending things October, November, and he's from Georgia. Now, as I mentioned before, okay, the Atlanta Braves won the World Series, and I think you and I kind of know. You know, I have connections. That's all I'm going to say on that, all right? At first, you thought, well, that's a coinky-dink. It's a funny joke. It's a funny joke that, you know, the Atlanta Braves won. Now I'm saying this. He sent in more stuff. Think about this, folks. Okay, the University of Georgia won the national championship in college football. So you're saying, all right, so that's fine. Atlanta Braves, baseball, World Series came in about the same time, right? He started sending me stuff, and I made that happen. Okay, and then the next thing, the next event, the University of Georgia, not Florida, Georgia wins the national title in college football. Now, am I suggesting that I had something to do with that? That I had some connections? I pulled some strings. I made things happen. I made a few phone calls. You can read between the lines. Now, you know, you're saying, well, that's fine. What about the Falcons? So you know, if Brian thinks that Matt Ryan needs to head out, you know, he costs too much as a quarterback and he needs to move on, you can let me know, and I can maybe he'll be a free agent and go to a different team soon. And again, am I suggesting that I'm the one who masterminded the entire plot? I think we know. Happy birthday, Brian.